All right, episode, I'm not quite even sure what it is at this point. How did I get in this room? Margot, our very first hip hop artist.
Very first, hopefully not the very last. He was a little bit outshone in the interview. So hopefully that doesn't
By what?
deter our future hip hop artists that will be coming on soon, such as Crazy Bone and many others. But Cujo of Goodie Mob.
Absolutely.
One of my dear friends from Transparent Sunglasses, my brand, as you know.
You guys did a collab.
Did us a huge favor. Yeah. This was a really fun one. We love Khujo.
Yeah. In fact, when I first met Margot, I think the first pair of sunglasses she actually showed me that she did was the Khujo, the collab. So, and you'll get to see them in the interview here coming up in a minute.
Well, how could you not though? Like that, I love to brag a lot about the sunglass brand.
Yeah,
but
shocking.
With Khujo, what was so killer about this collab was he's got this really cool hip hop stage presence, right? Where he just kind of like glides side to side. And in the tempos of the shades that we made with him, we kept thinking like, how do we put his personality in the frame? And one day he texted me, he said, disco. Disco means dance. And I was like, I dance to a disco. Do you dance to a disco?
All the time.
In
fact, right before we started rolling this, I was in the bathroom.
That's why I almost found a new co-host. Anyway,
so it's disco ball.
It's disco, hand assembled disco ball.
Really cool. Really cool stuff. All right, so for me personally, and I'm so glad we got to speak with him because I have very vivid memories of when Goodie Mob dropped, and they were like this new kind of fresh voice, I guess, and everybody was talking about Goodie Mob, Goodie Mob, Goodie Mob, and I never would have thought, after the album in late to mid '90s that I'd be interviewing him. So that was super super cool. And Margot had been telling me, he's such a sweet guy. He's not what you're going to expect. He's just like, you're. He's
like family.
He's like family.
He gets on the call, and what I told Ruby before, sweet Ruby, he was like, what do I expect? What should I ask? I said, this is a dear friend who FaceTimes with my daughter. She knows Mr. Khujo. It was the easiest interview.
We should have Margaret do the interview.
Next time, maybe we'll have
with her list, Mr. Khujo.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so it was really cool, and we got to talk about the Atlanta scene. Obviously, Hotlanta, yeah, the ATL. So all in all, I thought it was a really, really good interview. We're excited to share it to you. Here you go, guys. Khujo, Goodie Mob.
Give us the scoop.
Give you the scoop. Okay, yeah, I have a couple of things been going on. Really, I'm still beefing up my music catalog. I just dropped a single, some new music called Showtime, and it's produced by DJ Poppy from Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? He's new to Atlanta, and we met at the Atlanta Tucket brewery downtown, and that's owned by two of the members from Nappy Roots. Oh. And I just bumped into him, and we just kind of got acquainted. And I didn't even know he produced music. So he produced this cut. He's like, "Yo, man, hey, Joe, man, I want you to see what you can come up with on this." I said, "Okay, well, what's the vibe?" He's like, "Oh, you know what I'm saying, maybe like something like on a sports vibe or whatever." So I did something on kind of like it had a lot of sports thing in it. He was like, "Well, they want to hear something else like without the sports stuff in it." So I did something without the sports reference, and Poppy and I looked at each other. Was like, "Yo, man, this thing here is banging, man. I think we need to put this out." So we ended up dropping it on this distributor called Maverick Global Distribution, which they made me one of their official ambassadors of Maverick Global Distribution. You know what I mean? So what I do is I see young artists, young talented artists, and I see if they want to come on and join up. And when they join up, they get a plethora of all types of information. They got people here that's over 20 years in the music industry. So we just giving them those training wheels, man. So when they get ready to go independent, they can just take it off. So that's what I've recently been doing, just trying to give back, my way of giving back, you know what I'm saying, to people that fans of mine and people that want to do what I do. And I'm like, man, the best way to do it is to kind of educate them on their journey through this. Spotify and through these, you know what I'm saying, through these major streaming platforms. You know what I mean? So that was the recent thing that I've been up to. So you know, just getting the music going. Just got off the road with Goodie Mob. Matter of fact, like you said, with LL Cool J with the Force tour last year. That was my first time ever meeting LL Cool J, and I was just like, just blown away. And he gave me some advice, like, "Yo, man, you know, just keep doing your music." And we're pouring over now into 2024, and it's all about staying fresh. You know what I mean? Being motivated and being inspired. You know what I mean?
Uh, all those things are amazing. I love like hit every single talking point, you know, inspiring the youth because you
Right,
have so many young aspiring musicians that look up to you and CeeLo and Gip and
right.
you know, just everybody. I feel like you know when I was sort of giving the background when Ruben was asking me how we know each other and you know what to prep for this interview, I just said Cujo's all around. I mean, this guy is like solid. He's cool. He knows what he's doing. I mean, he's just it's methodical in this career to have the longevity that you have
Right,
is to
right,
not only, you know, proceed and move forward with your brand as an individual and your band,
right.
obviously, but also to kind of like give back at the same time. And that's time consuming. So you stay very
Well,
busy.
yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just thankful that a person like me got something to do, something constructive to do. You know what I mean? Because idle mind is the devil's playground. So I just try to stay busy and just try to elevate. And oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that my DJ and I we have our own podcast now. It's called ATL. It's called Showtime ATL Podcast. And what we do is, you know, we pull in some independent artists. We give them a chance to talk about, you know what I'm saying, how they started and where they're from and just giving talking points on, you know, what got them into the music industry. And then we also, you know, reach out to um to legacy artists that's down here. You know what I mean? So yeah, been kind of busy. So I got my hands full for a while.
I'm glad you mentioned the podcast and talking to independent artists. Um,
Right.
I wanted to ask you who's out there right now coming up that maybe we haven't heard yet that you think have a special something that are going to do some things.
Hmm. Wow, that's a good question. That's a good question. I could say like the last guy that we interviewed, his name was Smokey Joe, and he and I have we had a song that was like 3 years old that we did and shot the video for. So that was like my first time meeting him, and on through the years, I've been seeing his progression. Like he's been consistent with putting music out, you know, having some type of visual content for his page, and it's about your work ethic. You know what I mean? He's an up and coming artist that a lot of people probably hadn't heard of, but the way he's going and his momentum, I think he really has a chance to kind of stand out down here in Atlanta, Georgia. You know what I mean? So definitely big ups to Smokey Joe for doing his thing.
If you're listening to this podcast or you're watching it on a YouTube, what does one do to reach out to you to say,
Mm,
hey, I've got a kick ass, you know, I can DJ or I've got a voice,
right,
or I've got, you know, these lyrics that I want to have heard. Like what would
right.
you suggest that they do?
You know, that's one of the pros about social media and the internet and YouTube and all those mediums because it's all about putting it out there. Like a person can, I mean, easiest way to get in touch with me maybe could be like, say you go on, you might see one of my videos, right? And then you might, because I check my comments frequently, so I go to my comments and I see somebody like, yo, Cujo, you know, I'm from Texas. You know what I mean? You know, I got a lot of music and I've recorded some music, man. I just want to know what's the next step. So either I talk to him right there, or I just tell him, yo, man, you can email me and we can chat email. And if we get to chatting a lot, maybe we'll get a phone call and we can talk on the phone and kind of like go a little bit further with that. You know what I mean? But you know, so I'm just like thankful that I can navigate through the new means of communicating with people out here now. So it's just as easy as that, or sending me a DM through Instagram on my Instagram page at KHUJOGOODIE. So I frequently check those too. So it's all access right now, baby. You know what I mean? It's no excuses right now, man. That's how I reached out to LL. It's like, man, let me just DM him, man, see if he answer me. You know what I mean? Just old Cujo down here in Atlanta, Georgia, see if he'll answer me. And he did answer me, and we had a chance to get on a live at one point. I seen his face, he saw my face, and next thing you know, I was on tour with him with my group Goodie Mob, and I met him, what I'm saying, in person. So it can happen, you know what I mean? Just be persistent, you know what I mean? Be persistent and be consistent too, you know what I mean?
I
Yeah.
wanted to ask. Sorry, Margot. I'm gonna jump right in front of you.
Okay.
That's right,
I
I
wanted.
see.
Jump,
Yeah,
Ruben.
that's how it works. You have
Let's
to.
break live.
Gotta get in,
Can't
or else I'll talk the whole time.
you cannot let Margot take control. So Cujo, man, like tell me, share a story with us, and I'm sure this has happened to you more than once, where a person, an artist, producer, whatever, that you've encountered that came up to you and said, man, Goodie Mob was a huge influence on me. And maybe that was from a person or an artist you didn't expect.
Oh man, that's a man. Matter of fact, I'll give you a prime example. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Now, these is an iconic legacy group that if you're in hip hop, you should know who these guys are. And one day down in Atlanta, it was a hip hop museum thing was going on. They was honoring a lot of legacy MCs. And one of the brothers from Furious Five, Scorpio, I've never met him before in my life. He came up to me. He's like, "Yo, man, look, man, when Goodie Mob dropped, when you guys dropped, it's like, man, you guys put the soul back in hip hop." I was like, "What, really?" And I ran into him again in the same place, the same day, maybe a different time, and he told me that, "Yo, man, Goodie Mob, man, you guys put the soul back in hip hop." I was like, "Yo, this guy, he's got to be for real," because he kept telling me that all day, and just for somebody like that, I'm talking about that's almost them at the beginning of hip hop. Besides, you know what I mean. Besides, Rappers Delight. You know what I mean. These guys here. I mean, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. I mean, just for those guys to even notice who Goodie Mob was and what we did, that just kind of like blew me away. And I just knew once I heard more things like that, what he said, I knew what we did, what Goodie Mob did was a pillar for coming out of Atlanta, Georgia, the music, hip hop.
I know the music industry is it's like a fraternity, if you will, but how you navigate kind of who you associate with and who you tour with, how does that happen? Like with LL, for example.
Well, I'll give you another example, and not to, and we'll talk about lazy too. I mean, crazy too. But we met Cypress Hill for the first time, right? And Be Real came and picked us up from the airport because Be Real was down here last week, and Cypress Hill had a show at the Tabernacle. He invited me to come down, and then when I seen him, it's like, "Oh man, you remember, man, you came and picked us up from the airport. Oh man, you remember when we was getting tattoos at the spot and all that." So it's like we developed a relationship that was back in the '90s, like I mean, like '96 or '97, like that. You know what I mean? And for us to be on the road and be on tour, we bump into each other. You know what I mean? It's like you said, it's like a fraternity, man. It's a brotherhood because each one of us kind of know the struggle that it took or that it takes to still be where you are now, and to what I mean, still be able to have a fan base to where young people can reach back, and you just have both of those people. You got the old and the new together. So you're just being on the road and meeting people and just getting contacts and just staying in touch with people and running into people in the airport or at a concert like that. It really just brings on the camaraderie and like with Crazy, uh Bone Thugs and Harmony, we love them guys. You know what I mean? I can remember going up to Cleveland with Goodie Mob and running into, at that time we ran into Lazy Bone, and we actually recorded a song at his house. You know what I mean? And so with that relationship right there, and just being on the West Coast and running into brothers like that, and knowing that we do the same thing, we just had that extra type of love for one another. So when we meet each other, when we meet back up in the present time, it's like, oh man, what's up? You know what I mean? Like, man, how you doing? It's like, what I'm saying, like a family reunion almost.
Gonna go back. You mentioned the '90s, the formation of the band, and I physically remember where I was when I heard Cell Therapy,
Oh
and
wow.
I remember thinking, "What the hell was that?" Because it didn't sound like anything else that
Right,
pop groups were doing. And I've seen a lot of
right,
interviews where you've been asked about it. Obviously, I mean, it was definitely one of those songs that was a statement, and people had to take notice of it, you know.
wow,
And I know you
wow.
talked about hearing that beat for the first time and
Oh
hearing that
wow.
piano riff.
Oh
If you could share
wow.
a little bit on that with us, that'd be cool.
Man, that song "Cell Therapy" to this day has to be the most streamed song that of our career that we have ever done. You know what I mean? So that in the state right there is just mind blowing. But man, hearing that track for the first time, man, with Organized Noise, because I wrote the song in a whole different spot with no music at all. It was just me gathering information from some things around the neighborhood, and gathering some information that somebody had enlightened me about the New World Order. So I was just able to just jot everything down. And I get to the studio and I hear this crazy beat playing. I'm like, whoa, man, what is that, man? I mean, it sounds like a ballerina on 200, man. I mean, it was just out of control, man. And I had a verse ready for it. You know what I mean? So I started it off, and just me just saying the lyrics to that track was still kind of like mind blowing, because I was still mesmerized by the track. And I had when you have earphones on, it's just amplified that much, and you hearing your voice at the same time. Man, it was incredible, man. I was just glad that we did a song like that, man, for the South. You know what I mean? So anybody that wanna do the music that we do and wanna have a template of what to do or what to say, man, there it is, man. You got four perspectives from it also, man. So yeah, big up to Organized Noise for putting that masterpiece together.
You obviously have your song lineup every time that you go on stage, but is there one where you guys are just so pumped every time to just kind of like
Oh,
get it going? Or is there one that you really don't like, but you feel like you have to play?
that's a good one. I
Maybe
like
that's a
that one. I
better one.
like that one.
Which one do you don't want to play, but you have to?
Oh, that's a good one, man. One that I didn't particularly like through the career, and maybe it was because of the track, but it was Beautiful Skin. And it's Beautiful Skin, man, it's got such a good message to it. But when I would look at the song list and I see that, I was like, oh man, we gotta do that song, man. Come on. But recently we've been doing some remixes to it. So, I've kind of fallen back in love with that song, you know what I mean? But at one point I was like, oh man, we got to do this song again, man. Please, man, don't let's not do this song. But that song is one of our best songs, man, that a whole mixed group of people love, you know what I mean? But like I said, you could feel a certain way about a song, but your fans, man, they can even love it to death or hate it to death. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's one of the songs that I kind of didn't like performing, but the song that I do like performing is Soul Food.
Yes, love
Soul Food, man. Oh, because it talks about food too, and then you get a lot of crowd participation. You got a lot of people that can relate to the song. You know what I mean? So that song to me is one of our most relatable songs, man. I mean, it transcends states, it transcends age groups. I mean, who don't like to sit down and eat a good hot meal, especially if you got collard greens on there and mashed potatoes and oh man, and macaroni and cheese.
Atlanta has such a rich musical history. and
Mm-hmm.
to current day, and obviously will continue to do so. And you and Goodie Mob are such a big part of that. So, speaking of soul food, what's the secret sauce
Mm.
to Atlanta and music?
The secret sauce to Atlanta and music. I think you just said it, man. It's
Atlanta
food.
music.
It's food and music. It's food and music because I can always remember in the dungeon while we was crafting and just building up what we was building up our skills. We would always have something good to eat, man. I could rarely did we have like a McDonald's or a Burger King. Man, we would have soul food like from spots like Satterwhite's. This is no longer there. The beautiful restaurant, which is one of my favorite restaurants in Atlanta. I mean, soul food, hands down. And it is like food does connect to how you think and how you move about. So I'm just thinking on that, you know what I mean? That we really did nourish ourselves, man, and came up with a masterpiece like that. So I think food and music goes together, man, for Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm pretty sure a few more other states. Come on. That's Texas down there, man. I mean, come on, man. Everything big, you know what I mean? And wow. And the music down there, the music scene, man. So you can't have music without that barbecue, man. So it goes hand in hand, man. And it brings a smile to people's face too, man, when you eat.
First of all, if you guys were having the same question I was having, it's like, why is my head enormous in the Zoom? Then it's, then it's Margot in the corner and that little bitty shot of Cujo, who's, obviously our guest. Was that something you did on purpose or?
No, but I want to show your notes.
Show my notes.
Reviewed. I love Cujo. I'm sorry that you were the smallest head in the show, but he needed to remind himself here that he.
Why was my huge head up first? We don't actually understand technology,
Still getting there.
Luckily, we have we have our team who puts all that stuff together. That was pretty cool, and hopefully, when we get to see him coming back through Houston, we get to hang out. He's a huge foodie.
Heck yeah, huge foodie. One of the things that I loved about Cujo, though, was, and we found this with a lot of musicians that we've spoken to, is the kind of giving back to the youth that look up to them.
Younger artists.
Younger artists are either aspiring musicians or just fans wanting to be in touch.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so cool that he continues to try and support those that are trying to get into this industry, which is extremely tough.
Yeah, and he said, in the interview, obviously he's accessible. Hit me up if you've got something. You got some cool, beats, lyrics, whatever. I thought that was super cool. And he also talked about being a legacy act. And you had mentioned how it's a family. A fraternity, how the OGs kind of like take care of the younger artists coming up, which is what you want, because you want the art form to continue and to grow. I'm fascinated by the Atlanta scene because it's just so many of the rappers and hip hop artists that I love have come out of there, So that was a really good interview.
One of my so not only Goodie Mob, but one of my other favorite hip hop artists has been collaborating, or at least, touring with, performing with Khujo recently. And he sings this song, sorry to interrupt, but
go ahead.
I love where you were going with this, but I was just thinking of
do what you're good at,
and which is what I'm great at. LL Cool J. Can we dramatic pause here? Okay, Doing It is a song that if you don't know it, you should play it now and, go jam with your buddies. So LL and Cujo are very close friends. LL has recently worn a pair of transparent. And it was cool that when we asked Cujo how he met this friend in the industry,
icon.
It was via, huge icon.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say friend, I would say just king, basically. It was via social media, and that seems to be a recurring theme with.
Don't give it away.
Oh.
Don't give it away, because I know what you were about to say. Yeah, basically, like you guys saw in the interview, he talked about it. He's like, I'm just going to hit up LL Cool J. Reached out to him, and he responded. Next thing you know, a little bit down the line, they go on tour together, which I think is really cool. If you've learned anything, kids, it's the power of social media. You know, you can do whatever you want with it. You can do bad things with it too, so don't do that. Anyway, all right, so we've got a little bit of time left here, so I want to remind everybody to, you know, like, share, do all that good stuff. You can go onto the Fox 26 Houston YouTube page, look us up. You can find How Did I Get Into This Room? And you can, you know, share it with your friends, like it, subscribe, do all of that stuff. So that helps us out so we can keep putting content on the, you know, on social media for you. Margot, you got 20 seconds. You want to tease our guest for next week?
Oh, I would never tease her.
No
it's
pressure.
not somebody that you want to mess with, because this is a 5
It's not what we mean by tease in the industry.
Feisty, amazing TM of one of my very favorite country. Why are you all laughing? Stop. Everybody.
Tour manager.
I was almost on
tour.
time.
Hurry up.
TM
tour manager.
One of my favorite country superstar musicians, Blake Shelton. I won't reveal the woman's name, but she is just a total spitfire, and I adore her.
She told some great stories. All right, guys. Thank you as always for being with us. We'll see you next week. We're out of here. Peace.